Hello and welcome to the Let That Shift Go podcast. I'm Noel.
And I'm Lena.
And this is where we talk about the good, the bad, and all the shift in between.
We'll just talk mad shift.
Let's get into it. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about release and rewrite. And how this came up is just talking about writing letters to individuals kind of we hold unfinished business with, I guess. And but before we get into that, we've got Sergio here again as a guest host.
You.
And we want to talk about that a little bit. So Sergio, what I wanted to do is when we got back together, you told me about an experience and a conversation that we had that sparked something and created a process for you. And let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I think I was here, a few months ago, right?
Yep.
And we were having a conversation, right? That's when I did the breathwork session, right? Mm-hmm. And so I put you through that, and then we were teasing out some stuff, and we were at dinner, actually.
Yeah, you put me through, you were gracious enough to put me through a breathwork practice, which was, I'm so grateful for, because being a breathwork facilitator myself, so I don't always have somebody take me through that. So that was such a beautiful process to be a part of. And then it kind of opened up this conversation. Yeah.
And that was, what's, for me, that was, like incredibly honoring, right? Because that was full circle. When I had my first breathwork session where this big epiphany, big release, big experience, it was when you put me through it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's such a great thing.
You fast forward about 2 years, right? And I have the opportunity to do that for you, right? And that was a gift in itself. Like that, just being able to meet you there, right? And
ditto, likewise.
Yeah, man. And just to talk a little bit more about that experience, like I think you said, like, I don't know, that like it's a lot.
Yeah,
right? You were like, there's a lot there, and I was kind of hesitant. I think you were hesitant to see if I was going to be able to meet you there.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like I've had many, different breathwork coaches. Not many, but I've had a few, and sometimes I feel like people won't push me as hard as they need to because they don't know me. And like I'm a type that just needs to be pushed.
Yeah.
And I felt like you knew me and you kind of just know my context. And then asking you to do that for me. And I was like, God, should I ask him if he would be willing to do breath work, with me? And I knew you would, but I thought it was like a big ask, right? So when I asked, I didn't know what to expect. But when you did, I don't know, I felt like a level of comfort with you, because you had shared with me so much so early, and it was almost like a give and take. You know what I mean? Some reciprocity in the situation, and just I don't know, your posture, your strength, that's the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
During the breath work, I just felt like strength, just like power to push me. Where in some cases I've had it where I felt like my own spirit was just not letting that person push me to go as deep as I needed to.
Yeah.
And with that particular breath work, I was holding a lot and hadn't done a transformational breath work that big in a while. And so it was so releasing and life-changing in a way. It really did open up some things for me and help me. I find whenever I do things like that, it takes weeks for me to integrate kind of all the things I process, because I think about things afterwards and I go, wow, like that was pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's interesting because when I went through my in-person training, right? When we were going through some practices and even the breathwork journey at the end, I felt like my partner that I had, like I turned off their energy, right? Like my eyes were closed and everything, and we're doing the breath work, and there was another time during the 4 days that I felt that as well. There was a different partner that I had, like I had this release, and just the way I was reacting and expressing and discharging and all the stuff that was happening, I felt like my energy was so big that I turned them off. Like I could feel them disappear even though my eyes were closed. Like I could feel them just like,
I hear that.
Right. And it took like the instructors or practitioners to come over, like 3 of them. And then I could feel supported, right? With energetically. Right? their presence, the way the things they were saying were landing right, them holding my hand and all this stuff, right? Like I just felt like supported and able to release, right? And so when we were going through that with you, like I wanted to make sure that I was that. Right. And
so
like
you embodied that.
Yeah.
Oh, so I totally felt that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, so it was then, right, when I came here and we talked about, we're at dinner and we're talking about, I think some things from the past, right? Like, you said something about, you mentioned something about work, right? Or for me at work. And I said something like, oh, forget that or something, right? Like very dismissive. And you didn't just move on, right? You were like, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I think you asked me like, what's there for you? Right. I'm like, nothing, man. Like I've let that go. Right?
Yeah. I've talked about it already, you know, like I'm okay.
Yeah, we're good. Right. And then, so you're like, huh, okay. You know, and then we finished dinner and we're like, oh yeah, it's time to get in the sauna, the cold plunge. And we're in the sauna and it's just you and I were talking and you're like, what's there for you, man? So
I remember this.
Instead of feeling like attacked, right? Like, oh man, this guy wants just prying. No, it was like, oh, what's he saying? What's he seeing that I'm not seeing? Right. And later you said something when I was in the cold water. Right. And I was there, I think I ended up being in there for like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. Excessive amount of time. I can only handle 2.
Talking,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, there's something there. And you suggested, you know, like maybe you haven't forgiven this person or these people. And maybe there's something there. Sometimes just writing a letter, right, and not sending it is could be helpful, right? Or like, why don't you try that? And so I went home, and I didn't think about it for a few weeks. But then as I continued to do sauna work and cold plunge and sauna and cold plunge and just really journaling, that kept coming up. Like I was like, have I really forgiven this person? And the topic of forgiveness kept coming up. I would do my daily practice and I would do some longer breathwork sessions, and this topic would it would just come up, bubble up, right? And this guy's name would pop up, and I would notice how I would react when in my professional world his name would come up, and I was like, there's something wrong here, right? Something's not completely closed. So I was in the sauna and I decided to write a letter, right? And in that letter, I told him, like, hey, man, like, you know, I've known this person for 20 plus years, basically my entire EMS career.
Yeah, I mean, it meant something to you, this relationship. Yeah.
And when I got fired, my perspective is that they had something to do with it. And you know, that at least that came across their desk and they approved the termination, right? So being in leadership up and down in those years, we really did a lot of work for the community, for the organization, for our teams. And I really
building the culture of the community in the trenches, really.
I felt like we were in the trenches together, right, for a long time. Right. And even though we didn't agree on a lot of things, like we could banter and be direct with each other and really be honest.
You had a synergy that you can still work
We
together.
had that relationship where I could like call him out, he could call me out and all this stuff, right? And then we could move forward, right? For the better good. So when that fell apart, I think I felt like I lost a brother, right? I felt like I lost, like I expected more from him. Right?
Didn't have your back.
I expected more. I expected him to show up differently as a man, as a human, right? In a sense. And I felt betrayed, right? I felt incredibly betrayed. I felt really let down, right? And isolated and lonely, right? So I wrote all those things down. Right?
You're just self-discovering as you're kind of journaling through these things? Yeah.
And when I wrote the letter, I didn't write it from a place of anger, right? It was time for me to just let it go.
Yeah. And sometimes when I do this release and rewrite type process, it's kind of like I'll write it with no anticipation of giving it to them. And it's kind of a little bit harsh And then I read it, I go, wow, that's pretty mean.
Yeah.
So I'll release, as I'm rewriting it, I'm releasing kind of some of the energy and in this, what I'm trying to get across in that message. And so like your journaling I hear is like, was a process of this kind of emoting your feelings about what you wanted to say to this person.
Yeah. You know, and what I realized is that it didn't have to come from a place of like anger or disappointment, even though I was angry at one point. And I was disappointed at one point. I didn't have to like, it's you know, like, you know, have you ever experienced when somebody is like saying sorry, but they're like underhanded, like,
it's like a backhanded. Yeah. There's no, it doesn't hold weight.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a true episode of forgiveness or an event of forgiveness, not for them. Like me forgiving this person had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Right. It had everything to do with me. So if I decided to send this letter, it didn't require a response. If there was one, it really didn't matter what it would be.
Yeah.
Right. If it was positive or negative or nothing, it was all the same result for me. Right. It would all have the same closure.
Yeah. You can almost, release it in a burning ceremony, burn it and just say, I'm letting this one go.
Yeah.
In a sense. Right.
Yeah. And I thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, maybe I should write it down
and then burn it
and say sayonara, right?
Yeah, yeah. But you're brave enough to send it.
Yeah. So when I'm going through this, right, I didn't think about it and plan it. I was just in the sauna in the moment, and I wrote it down. I wrote it in a text.
Oh, in a text. Okay. Ooh, danger zone. So this is even braver. It's like standing with no safety lines, because you could accidentally hit send, and then you know what I mean.
So I typed it all up. And it was basically like, hey, man, all the things that I was disappointed in, the expectations that I had that they didn't meet.
Gotcha.
But also taking accountability for the things that I could have maybe done better.
Right? Yeah.
Or, a big piece of that was like, I was upset that what they did put me in this dark place. Right? Like that was like, it's like Homer Simpson driving down the road, like pissed off at traffic, like that anger.
Yeah.
Of like, why me?
Got it.
Right. And so when I wrote it down, it was explaining all those things, but not trying to beat him down. Just saying them.
Just matter of fact.
Yeah. Just
how it made you feel.
This is how it
affected
felt.
You. Yeah.
This is what it caused for me. Right. Acknowledging my responsibility in the whole thing, or in the accountability piece of that. Right. And then saying like, hey, I forgive you for not being able to show up for me as a person that I thought you were. I forgive you for not showing up like the man that I needed. Right. I forgive you for, leaving me alone. Right. And then also saying like, I hope you have a good life. Right. Because I don't wish anything negative on them. It's just, for me, it was time to just stop carrying that, put the backpack down, right? And then I hit send.
Now I want to know what, because see, I've done this practice where I write these messages out, and a lot of time what I do is I put it into my notes, and then if I plan to send it, I'll cut and paste it into a thing, because it's safer for me, because I've accidentally sent messages while I'm like in the middle. I'll be during the workday and I won't send it yet, and then I'll come back. Oops. Nowadays you can kind of. So yeah, I try not to do it that way. So what I want to know from you, what a lot of times I will write these messages but not ever actually send them, and the few times that I do, why was it for you that you decided to send this one?
So I typed it up, and I was in the sauna, right, 30 minutes or something, and I let it sit there, and I just breathed for a little bit. I deep into my belly, and what do I need to do in this moment? Right? And I said, if it was me, I would like to know that I hurt somebody.
Okay.
So I hit it.
Send.
Yeah. And I didn't feel anxious afterwards.
Okay.
I thought I would. Right. I really thought I would be like, oh, what's next? Right.
What was the emotion? If you had to put one word after you sent that, what was there? Was there a release? Was there?
I felt relief.
Relief. Okay.
Relief, because I think up until that point, I was grieving that relationship. I had already gone through anger, denial, depression, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally accepted that relationship was over
Mm.
for what it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was over. And so now it was my time to forgive. And so, like when I sent it, that's what I mean, that I didn't require an answer or a response.
Mm.
I didn't, not that I don't care, right? Obviously I do care, right? But like, I don't, it wasn't necessary.
It's not going to move you from your peace.
Yeah. And then in the message, like I wrote that, like, you don't have to respond. I don't require a response.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you have a good life, right? Like, very,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a kind message. I don't think it was, insulting or offensive at all. Like it was very like human.
Got
right?
it.
And then I got a response.
So how many minutes of a response? Like, how long did it take?
About 20 minutes.
Okay.
Like I was still in the sauna.
Okay. So that gives some context there. So you're still in the sauna, kind of just being with yourself, because that was the situation, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the response was not what I expected.
Right? What did you expect? Because you've had so much vitriol and anger, so I'm sure you've built this tremendous story of who this person became.
I don't know. I don't know that I ever actually thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just was angry, right? And I think I didn't expect him to be human that way. I didn't expect the response that I got was that they went through their challenges as well, that they grieved their relationship as well, and that they did see me as a brother, and that they were very hurt that all these things happened the way they happened.
Very similar message.
Yeah, right. And they went through some challenges, right? Sleepless nights, and they got therapy and teased out a lot of things, and they're happy to know that I made it out on the other side a better person, and that that all they ever wanted for me was the best for me and my family. And then like he said, like, I love you, man.
Wow.
And reading that, although it didn't require a response, right? And I still, even when I read it, I was like skeptical to a degree, right? Like maybe he's just saying this just to appease me or whatever, right? So I tried to not get into that, right? To try to identify why he said what he said.
Yeah.
But just really let the words land. If they, if they were going to land somewhere, just let them. If they made me feel good, they made me feel good. If they made me feel indifferent, then I was indifferent. It didn't matter, right? And so I just saw them for what they were, and I said, "Thank you." That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And what happened afterwards was like, I just felt light. Like, incredibly light. You know how you don't really know how heavy something is until you put it down?
Yeah.
And then you have to pick it back up? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, whoa, this is powerful. And what that did was it forced me to look at all of the individuals that were involved in this decision when I lost my job, or that at least that I think were involved, right? Because I don't know. And I forgave them too. They all got letters.
So it created a second step for you, and your second step was this initial letter created something inside of you that was a positive response. So you wrote letters for the other people.
Yeah. And they all got a letter. They just never received it. Right. So in my mind, right, he's the one that I think I grieved the loss more of. Right. So I sent the letter. He got his letter. Right. But everybody else, they didn't get one. Right.
Yeah. And
they're not going to get one because it's over. Like, the closure happened. It's over. If I ever see them again, then I see them. If I don't see them, then I don't see them. I'm not thinking about that. Right. I'm just not living there anymore. Right. But they all got their letter.
It almost makes sense because the way that you explained your relationship with this other person was that you guys were in the trenches together, very similar. And so it's shocking that you guys had a very similar response. Yeah. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that you guys were very, very similar in terms of who you guys were. there's always a difference. I know a lot of people that I'm similar to, but then there's a difference. You know what I mean? And that's what makes us individuals. And that's what you guys helped each other change in a way. You know, Lena always says somebody's in your life for a reason or a season. And that person, even in that response, created another change.
Yeah. You know, and I realize now through all the things that I've dealt with and the exploration and stuff is that all of the decisions, all the left turns, all the right turns, all the stops, all those things that I've made in my life, those are what bring me to where I stand today. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's also true for him. Right. So if that never happened, I never potentially never go discover myself, climb to the depths of my spirit, my soul, and find out who I am, what makes me tick. And I don't come out on top. And I don't forgive him, and I don't write the letter, and it doesn't cause him to dive into himself to change. So while it may be painful to go through all that stuff, it's all happening for a reason, right? And it happened to just be that maybe this was a catalyst that led him to go get help, and it was a catalyst that led me to go get help, right? That doesn't mean we get to be friends again. That doesn't mean that we have to be friends again.
Yeah.
It also doesn't mean that we don't have to be friends again. It just is, right? And it's that letting go piece that you can just let things be, right? Hey, man, let it breathe for a second, you know? Like, let it simmer.
You don't have to force it.
Exactly, right? Like when I use this when I'm smoking meat in the smoker, right? This is funny, right? If you're looking, you ain't cooking, right? Let the thing smoke.
Yeah.
You know, let it do its job, right? And that's true in life, right? Like
trust in it.
Yeah. Like let the, you know, a lot of people say, let Jesus take the wheel, let the universe do what the universe does. Yeah. Things aren't going to fall in your lap, but if you lean into those things and take the lessons and really say, what is this teaching me? You can learn to let go. Right. And when you let go, amazing things can happen. Because you can then smell the flowers, enjoy the sunset, take a deep breath, right? All those things. Because if you're too busy controlling, you're too busy to let things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you're too busy controlling everything and not just allowing it just to naturally develop on itself.
Yeah.
Man. And so that created another process to write to these other people. And you didn't send those letters, but it had probably what kind of effect did that have on you? Even though you didn't send the other letters,
it just created closure, right? The closure that I needed for them, right? I don't think I needed as much closure from those folks because I didn't know them as long, and I didn't have the life experiences. Like, you know, you got to think about, like, I've been in EMS since 2001, right?
Yeah, wow.
Around that time,
25 years now. Yeah,
is when I met this dude.
Yeah,
right. And
that's a long time to know somebody.
Dude, yeah, right. And his career has changed throughout those years, right? Kind of like two different paths that we took in our careers. I was a fireman, you know, I became a nurse and a flight nurse, and then climbed the corporate ladder and all this stuff through leadership. I worked for him, you know, all these things, right? And he took a different path. He climbed up, went flying and all this stuff, and then came back down and was now in leadership, right? And so we've been in the same world for a long time. So a lot of what molded our professional career also molded our personal life, right? And so we have a lot of those experiences. And he's older than me, right? And so we've shared a lot of the similar things, right? We know a lot of the same people. We've walked in the same circles for a long time. And so it's not the same as those other people, right? Those other people I met at work and I thought they were friends and I was in leadership with them together. And, you know, when your leadership can be a lonely place sometimes because you can't be friends with your employees, right? And I found that when I lost my job, that wasn't true. Like the people that actually cared about me were the people that worked for me. So, you know, when I lost my job, I was lonely. I was alone. I felt isolated. I couldn't, you know, I was on admin leave and I couldn't contact anybody within the company, which meant that I couldn't talk to my friends because those are my friends.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard
thing
to say. You can't, because that type of job, I've never done that type of job, but the way that you guys live on site, you're on for 48 hours or 72 hours sometimes. It's got to be, you're around people much more.
One of the longest friendships I've ever had is because of that work. Right? I'm here today with Lena because I met her there.
Yeah,
right?
It's a different kind of friendship. Yeah. And through the trenches, really, in a way that you guys like life altering situations. Yeah. People are in life or death situations. And I find I don't do that for a living, but some of my closest friends is we almost died together. And then it was like, bam, you remember that? And I find like your career is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're witnessing death and despair. And sometimes you're doing that as your life is also in despair, right? Like you're in these crazy operational situations and right, things happen, right? So you form these bonds, right? And so when I was like, hey, you can't contact any of these people, I'm glad that those people that were my friends came to my side anyways, right? Because I felt alone, right? And when I was able to really embody that and like take it in, I was incredibly grateful that they didn't leave me alone, right? So that's when I understood, oh, this isn't life, right? And that's a lot of the questions started, and that's when I started the self-discovery stuff, right? But because I thought they were my friends, the leadership structure that we were always together, we're doing these things, and when the moment came, I felt like everybody turned their back on me and walked away, right? I was like left at the top of the hill screaming by myself.
Yeah. Somebody?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Is this thing on? And
that's a vulnerable space.
Yeah, I was lonely, man. Yeah. And I never felt that way before, right? Never. Because I was always the respected person. I was always the guy that people looked up to for advice in that world. I was an expert. I am an expert in that field, right? And for the first time, I felt like somebody had made a decision somewhere that the company, the community, the profession was better off without me. And I was like, whoa, that's scary, right? And I knew that I had more to offer, right? But when I was alone, my true friends came, right?
And so finding closure in it.
Yeah. And that taught me a ton of other lessons, right? Like leadership doesn't have to look that way. Leadership doesn't have to be isolating. Leadership doesn't have to be, you can't be friends with your employees. You just have to have boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Healthy relationships.
Yes.
Good communication.
Absolutely.
It's key.
Yeah. And so now being on the other side of this forgiveness thing with these folks, I don't carry that. Like when their names come up, they don't make me feel anything.
And I think it's a powerful practice to be able to, write something and have such an effect, even if you don't send it to people. I found for myself, sometimes the ones that I don't send are just as powerful. But the ones that I do send and I get a response, change me. And in a way, like you say, I sometimes get a response that I didn't expect. And it's because I didn't fully understand the situation until I was vulnerable enough to say what my perspective was. And without the accusatory, like you said, and being mean, just saying, hey, this is how I feel through this situation. I never got to the place to have perspective for them until I started to do this.
Process. I mean, it's powerful, right? Like you're putting your thoughts, your emotions and everything on paper or writing it down somewhere, right? That alone has a release in itself, right? Obviously that's why journaling works so well, right? And I think the sending it part, I don't think that changed how it would have felt. It felt difficult when I got a response because then I had to deal with the response a little bit, right? Like, ooh, how am I supposed to feel, right? That question came up a little bit. And the reality was that it didn't matter, right? The response could have been crickets. And that would have been probably easier.
Because the work was actually doing all that journaling, and that lead up was all the work. And when you send it, that's like hitting complete on it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't require that response.
Yeah, it's like buying a car, right? Like you see the car, but you don't see all the dudes that worked on it, all the people that were involved designing it and engineering, and then you just see a cool car.
Yeah.
That was a cool car.
Yeah, it didn't just get that way.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have a final question for you here.
Yeah.
What is the next letter that you're afraid to write that you haven't written yet? Because I know you've got one. And it doesn't even have to be it could be to anybody, not even somebody, the person could have passed away already.
Yeah.
So think about that. And everybody at home, I'd like you to think about somebody that you would, the next letter that you're going to write that you haven't written yet because you haven't found that courage. But like Sergio, sitting in the hot tub that one night, decided he was going to do that, you know?
You know, I think the person that I would like to write a letter for, and I don't know if I'm ready, right? But I think that's down the pipe, is to my brother. Yeah.
That's a good one. You know why? Because the relationship between me and Lena is so important to me. And I didn't realize why until we started to do this type of work, because it's so rare that you share the same DNA, the same tapestry of growing up and all the things. And to have somebody who has the best ability to understand you more completely than anybody else because he was there.
Yeah.
It's an important relationship to nurture. And, when you get to that space, man, I'm there in spirit for you, with
awesome.
you. Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of people say there's a lot of water under that bridge, but there's a bridge. There's a fucking bridge.
There's a bridge to get through it, to get over it.
Walk it. Right. And so even right now, when you asked me, I was like, man.
Did you know right away that the
as soon as you asked it, I knew, and I had to.
I had a feeling.
I had to think about if I wanted to say that out loud.
Well, thank you for being brave enough to say it out loud.
Yeah,
because it's an important thing.
Yeah, yeah, and we've repaired our relationship through the years, but I think there's writing a letter, right, is sometimes a little bit easier. Because you don't have to have the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And deal with the egos getting in the way.
The immediate response is sometimes hard for me.
Yeah, if I was to say that stuff to you, right, you're going to think that it requires a response right there and then. And
there's an obligation because there's a sense of, yeah.
That's how we
it's a conversation.
It's got to be two ways, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
So I think I think that's why it's so important as an easy first step, because it opens the door
to conversation,
for the real conversations, because it maybe leans some, shines some light onto some shadows.
Yeah. And this letter, right, would be different, right? Because it's not because I'm grieving a relationship that ended, right? This is more of in terms of repair, right? And when I started to do the work, right, one thing that was incredibly difficult to do was be silent, right? Like not everything requires a response, right? And when I went through the breathwork trainings and on all that stuff, right, one thing that kept coming up in conversation was that silence is pregnant with potential. You don't have to answer everything, right? You don't always have to have a response. You can just be. Like, you can tell me something, and I don't have to have an answer for it because I may not know, or I may not fully understand what you're asking. It takes a little bit, right?
And plus, your mind may develop. I think of it, when you were saying that, I was thinking about like an author, writes a book, but then somebody makes a movie about it. But now I'm limited to the director's imagination. But my brain saw something totally different when I read it.
Exactly. And we can read the same book, and the scene looks different, right? And that's exactly it. Like, there's two different worlds right here, right now, right? Your world and my world.
Yeah,
and they're both real.
Yep.
It's
perception.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's okay to just be like, how does that land for me? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that what is that bringing up physically in me, right? And once you start to figure that how to do that, right? How to like have this somatic awareness and really like, is it that tension, or is that joy, or is that sadness? Once you kind of figure that out, you're able to have more human experiences, right? Instead of these egotistical arguments that aren't real, because there's two worlds battling themselves.
Yeah,
and neither one of those is real sometimes.
Yeah. Well, sir, I appreciate your time. It's always such a good conversation with you, and I appreciate your vulnerability and being willing to just talk about the things that we struggle with. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No. Thank you. I love having these conversations with you and Lena, and coming here and just letting it ride.
And where can people find you? Social media.
Yeah, so my website, mictlanjourneysomatics.com, or at mictlan.journey on Instagram. And if you want to get the journal, I have a journal as well that's on Amazon, and I'll give you the link, but it's called, Journey Through Mictlan, A Year of Inner Exploration. So it's a year's worth of journaling.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the description. All right?
Awesome.
Thanks, Sergio. All right, that's been another episode of Let That Shift Go podcast. I'm Noel.
And I'm Lena. Let us know what your questions are, and we'd love to use them on a future episode. Or check us out on Insta at Let That Shift Go, or visit our website, serenitycovetemecula.com.